I'm now delighted to introduce a former member of the British rowing team for 14 years and two-time Olympic medalist and partnership director of Wagestream. A very warm welcome to Alex Partridge. Joining Alex today is Erik Porter, who is founder and CEO of Cheddr, a social business offering workplace financial wellbeing solutions, including workshops, coaching, and consultancy. In this session, you will learn why financial wellness is a core pillar of mental health and the tools you need to take control of the new economic challenges.
Hello, and thank you to Chris and the Retail Trust for setting up this For the Four. It's a fantastic series of focusing on well-being and the support of retail employees. It's a real privilege to be able to be here to focus on financial resilience and mental well-being and the inextricable link. So my name is Alex Partridge. I'm the Wellbeing Ambassador for Wagestream, one of the partnership directors, and have been with the business for just over a year now. Previous spent many years chasing Olympic medals going backwards on a river, and now very passionate about the well-being agenda, but we can talk about that in a minute. I'm very pleased to welcome Erik Porter, Financial Wellbeing Ambassador and founder and CEO of Cheddr, who we have a very great relationship with. Erik, welcome this morning. Please, Erik, you've had nearly 20 years in sort of financial services, financial education, and financial well-being. Please tell us just a little bit about kind of what you do and what you're trying to do at the moment.
Yeah, so my role within Cheddr, and the reason I founded Cheddr earlier this year was all about helping people in the workplace. We know that for people who have major debt problems, there's really good advice, lots of support services available for them. For people who are wealthy and want to know what to do with their money, there's great services in terms of financial advice. Everyone else in the middle who's just trying to figure out what to do with their money, how to make the right decisions, and if they do get into a bit of trouble, what to do. We're kind of left to fend for ourselves, and the workplace is a great place to tackle that problem, so that's why we're here.
Erik, thanks very much. And look, that's great. It's great to have you with us today because our missions are very aligned. So Wagestream, we're a social enterprise fintech, and our mission really is to be able to empower financial autonomy in people's lives and help improve the poverty premium. But to do that, we have to work to do that through employers, because employers really are the kind of the backbone of what can create that financial autonomy for their employees. We can't solve all the problems, but they can definitely go a long way, and it's great to be able to focus on that today. So just very quickly, today we're going to talk about money and mental health. So the why should you care about financial well-being in the workforce? The who, so really understanding what is going on with your workforce and what they need, how you can provide that financial well-being support, and then the what. So we're very privileged to have Erik here today to look at some key measurable solutions and strategies that organizations can put in place. So Erik, let's just get stuck right in. So why do retail businesses need to care about the financial well-being of their employees?
So, as you're seeing on your screen now, you've got some stats there, and it's really clear, there is a true cost to not tackling financial well-being or financial well-being money problems that people may have. It's true of any business. It's very true in the retail business, even maybe more acute now when we think of, sectors that have been affected by the recent pandemic. It is the cost in business to business in terms of productivity, absenteeism, those types of things. But also when we think around the level of service that a person can give to a customer, if they're stressed and worried about their money, or they feel like they're insecure in terms of being able to choose a financial product or make their next mortgage payment, whatever that might be, they're not going to be available to serve your customers in the best way and to make the right decisions for them. And also if we think about people who might be facing money trouble sometimes make the wrong decision or might be motivated to make wrong decisions, and that becomes a risk for your business. So there's a number of reasons, both on the personal side and the commercial side, why it just makes good sense to tackle financial well-being.
Absolutely. I mean, we have this question here, and think about a period where I think we can all relate to this when we've all struggled financially or had to go through big financial change. And I mean, this is a thing that's very personal to myself. The reason I'm passionate about well-being is I did face a serious well-being challenge in my own self some 4 or 5 years ago. And the reality is when you go through this process, actually you make financially irrational decisions. The direct link to poor mental health and your financial responsibility and your own personal financial actions is inextricable. And then the other thing for me is that when you can come through the other side, and I was very lucky to be able to kind of really flourish after I went through this process, is actually financial stress is the hangover of when things go wrong. And actually, if you look at it in your own life, it's very difficult to have the same frameworks that are all available in all the other things that are available in well-being, like physical, social, mental. There's not the same focus in financial well-being. So I mean, just really think about Erik, you've been focusing on this a long time. What's your experience of the cost of mental health issues in the workplace at the moment?
Yeah, so there's a number of studies out there, and all of them will have a slightly different number. But when you think about the cost to the business, as I mentioned before, and you see the numbers there, you're talking about near £1,000 in cost per employee. Or some employers estimate that it's costing them about 4% of their payroll in terms of the lost productivity, absenteeism, things that happen. It's also true that when we think of just the little things, if you're at work and you're trying to work through money stress and you're needing to kind of nip to the back room of the store, or pop into a conference room to make a phone call, or deal with trying to navigate getting a home, for instance, right? A mortgage, complex process, hard for most people, requires a lot of time. Doesn't mean you're necessarily mentally available to worry about your job or even other parts of your life. It can be, all-consuming. So that's a cost. And then I think, as I mentioned before, just the cost to your business in terms of customers and the customer experience.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's the other challenge is that financial stresses can be small or great, but they're underlying, and they play on your mind all of the time. Some are the short term, some are long term. But there's still this taboo within the workplace to be able to talk to your employer about your financial problems, because I mean, I certainly felt this when I had financial difficulty and I worked in the financial services world, is that I was struggling financially, but I didn't really feel like I could talk to my employer or my manager or someone within the business. And that's not because probably there wasn't, the availability to talk to somebody, but there was just this stigma around, this taboo around, if I tell you that I'm struggling financially, that must mean that I'm not a good employee. But actually, the reality is that's not true at all. It's just that I'm going through a tough time, and I need to be able to reach out. So I think, we're trying to, Wagestream has been trying to tackle this problem. We understand that, prior to COVID-19, nearly 34 million people in the UK didn't have £250 of savings, that they're living month to month. And we're trying to be able to provide technology that can help break that taboo within the workplace, to be able to recognize where the financial stresses are in the workforce. But, we knew that problem was coming, pre-COVID-19. Erik, why is financial well-being important in this post-COVID world? I mean, that'd be great to get your view on that as well.
Yeah, I think it was important before. It's ever more important now. And as you say, it is very much that stigma or taboo around money, and it exists both inside and outside the workplace. If you think about your life and when do you talk to people in your life about money, whether that's your partner, your kids, your friends? If you're talking about money, it's usually you're bragging about, oh, I got a great deal on this product, or I got a great deal on a holiday, back when we were able to take one, or those types of things. We rarely are talking about, oh, you know what, I made a really bad decision on that product, or I was just the victim of a scam because I didn't know better. And so those types of things we don't talk about. And moving that into the workplace, we perpetuate that problem a little bit more in that, one, we would most likely not want to disclose to our colleagues or our employer that we've got a problem. Two, there are sectors, of course, that is not allowed, right? Think about the police, right? They're not allowed to have problem debt because it opens them up to anti-bribery and corruption. And so there's a whole process that happens within law enforcement if you've got debt. And so with many sectors, or people who work in financial services have some of the same problems, we make it apparent that it's not okay to talk about money. Many employers talk to their employees about, don't share your salary or your bonus details or whatever. Again, perpetuating that conversation around that money is something we shouldn't be talking about. And then we're surprised when people are suffering that they don't turn to us as employers and say, I've got a problem, can you help me? So, and the thing that COVID has probably given us, if nothing else, is we're all suffering now in some way, whether that's financially or with our mental health or something else. We've all been impacted. If you claim to have not been impacted, positively or negatively, I would tend not to believe you. So actually, it's created a little bit of equality, and the people who felt ashamed before about not having the savings that they needed or the financial resilience to overcome a problem, don't feel ashamed, because nobody could have predicted this, right? Whatever about savings that you had, if you then lost your job or had a reduction in hours or whatever it was, now is the time that we can all actually tackle the money conversation, similar to how we tackled the mental health conversation a few years ago. We need to do the exact same things we've been doing around mental health with money.
Absolutely. And I mean, I think, like you said, the financial pressures are more prevalent now than they ever have been. We're in October now, and we know that the CJRS is coming to the end. Furlough schemes are coming to the end. Businesses are having to make crucial decisions around remuneration, around employee workforce sizes, etc. And it's stressful for everyone. It's stressful for the employees, and it's stressful for the people in the management positions. But also, you've got this shift in workforce where actually workers in the retail sector are now moved to this key worker status. You see the fantastic work just keeping people fed and watered, and grocers have gone to this this new status. And then how much harder those employees are having to work, and the kind of reward that they need to be recognized with. So yeah, I mean, it's such a prevalent area to focus on, I think, for business and society, and it's really important for business to look at it. But I mean, what specifically for retail, Erik? Why do you think it's important for retail right now?
Yeah, I think if you're a retail employee, thank you for all the work that you've done. They've been keeping the country going for a number of months. And that could have some upsides and some downsides. One of the obvious upsides is you have a bunch of people who've potentially been working quite hard, maybe over time. They've actually made a lot of money during this time, just keeping your businesses going. And they might find themselves in the position where they have a bit more savings than they normally would. And so the question for them is, well, what do they do with that money? Because it might be groups of people who aren't used to having extra cash flow, and we want to help them make the right decisions. What do they do with that money? So that's a positive opportunity that you as an employer might have. On the other hand, while your people might be working and working very hard, they might be part of a family where that's not the case, right? So a partner or spouse has lost their job, has been made redundant, had a reduction in hours, or now as you look at your businesses and think about reshaping your businesses for the future, move to online, all the different things that are happening. There are opportunities, and we know already that not everybody will escape this unscathed, and that there will be financial problems to come. So you can help by listening, right? Being available to listen, making it clear that you're available to have that conversation and that money isn't taboo, but also by offering products and services that help your employees or their families. And we'll talk a bit more about products and services here in a second. But I think the other thing is really making sure that they feel secure, that they feel supported, even if you're making them redundant. There's a way to exit people from an organization, and do it in the right way, in a supported way. And we think about, we help people write CVs, we help people reskill and retrain. We rarely talk to them about their finances and what they're going to do as they exit an organization due to restructuring. So, for actually a very small amount of money in terms of the overall cost to the business, you really have an opportunity to be seen and to provide a great level of support to people to help them navigate what is likely to be a very uncertain time for them.
Erik, that's absolutely right, and kind of going back, I think we've said it quite a few times in the last 15 minutes. This taboo around the financial conversation within the employer-employee relationship. How can an employer get to know the workforce needs and who they should be targeting? What are the things that you suggest that an employer can do?
Okay, yeah, there's a few key things, and I think it is really important. It's good that you bring it up, Alex, because the worst thing any of us can do is make a whole bunch of assumptions about our workforce, right? So it's very easy for us to sit there and think, oh, well, it's only the young people who have financial problems, or it's only the people below a certain salary level that might be struggling. Actually, we have plenty of evidence to prove that money issues affect everyone. So that's the first thing. So how do I get around those assumptions? How do I know what's going on? Well, you might have the opportunity to do staff surveys. You may have done some of those in the past where you've understood that maybe there is a financial issue bubbling there in the background, but you're not completely clear on what aspects of that. So one of the things we do at Cheddr is we work with organizations to do a workplace financial stress assessment. And we send out a survey to them that asks very specific questions about their financial situations. And that does two things. One, it allows employees to provide information both to the employer and to us, but doing it in a way that is confidential, so they're not supplying that information directly to their employer, again, getting around that kind of stigma or maybe fear of reporting information to your employer. We take that information then to help you shape a program. How can you help people in terms of the content that you provide them, the workshops and training that you might provide them, other products and services that you might want to consider. And then we also play that information back to you, the employer, in an anonymized way so that you can start to figure out the return on investment, right? Times are tight, margins are tight in every business. We've got to account for every pound that we spend. And that can be really tough in the employee well-being space. So the opportunity that we have within financial well-being is that we can actually get you close to a number to at least let you know, what you might be saving your business or what you might be saving socially, right? Because there's also a social value around financial well-being and tackling it early. We know that, for instance, helping a person avoid the need for debt advice or getting to debt advice early if they are in trouble can save the NHS between £400 and £600 per person. Right? That's real savings. The NHS is busy. They've got other things to worry about right now. If we can help them in some way not have to deal with additional mental health issues coming through because of money, then I think we would all agree that's something we ought to do.
Thanks, Erik. That's really good. And I think what's interesting is businesses are doing great things with EAPs, systems, but that it's that anonymized reach out and support. So sometimes actually engaging with a third party is important to be able to really understand what's going underneath the bonnet. Erik, you've been around financial well-being for 20 years.
Making me sound very old now.
Yeah, I did rowing for 20 years before I even started down this journey. But what would you suggest? What can businesses do to build an effective financial well-being strategy?
Yeah, obviously the thing is whatever you do should be available to everyone, right? So one, we don't want to create exclusion, but we also want to capitalize on the opportunity to use financial well-being as a tool for equality and diversity. And again, going back to what I said before about issues are not just impacting, a certain group or young people or whatever. Making sure that it's available at the right time. And that's the hardest part, right? Pinpointing when does a person actually need this? And this is why it's necessary to have a multifaceted approach. That might be content on an intranet site, that might be nudges through emails and text messages, that might be workshops, that might be tools such as Wagestream or others. All of those together create that kind of on-demand infrastructure where people can access the information when they need it, but also get the occasional nudge, because let's be honest, there's tons of information out there today that people aren't accessing. And so we need to help them along on that journey, right? So the other thing that's really important is we really shouldn't be trying to increase employee debt. We want to make sure that we're helping people use the money that they have, that they are living within their means, recognizing when that might not be possible and getting help. But there's not a lot of help in just giving people loans and helping them to make the situation even worse. So we don't think that's the right thing to do. Helping them benefit from financial guidance, or maybe realizing that they need financial advice and they need to go off and get that. Promoting good savings habits. And just again, your kind of typical marketing strategies really, multi-channel. So some people like to watch a video, some people want to attend a workshop, other people like to read. And we shouldn't underestimate, the learning styles and way that people absorb information.
Well, look, thanks for that, Erik. And it's great because Wagestream hinges its entire technology on your checklist there. But absolutely, I think for us at Wagestream is and me personally, having worked in the financial services world, where the best available solutions are available to only a small proportion of the population. And actually what we're facing now is a financial stress issue that's going to cover a vast majority of the population. So for us at Wagestream, and why I'm involved, is it's about be able to provide a solution that can be available to everyone. And that's why it's crucial, actually, employers, by working with someone like us, they can actually provide a solution that can be available to everyone, because it's actually, if you work with the employer, then they can create a much more accessible, fair financial products and tools for the employee base. But look, Erik, I think it's super great to have you here today. I think the Retail Trusts are doing a fantastic thing for the retail sector. I know personally how important it is to be able to lean on bodies who have the frameworks and the help and as a place for you to outreach when things become difficult. And if there's any sort of message that I can leave with people who are watching this today, it's when you face these challenges, don't go it alone. Reach out to the experts, reach out to bodies like the Retail Trust, and then you can begin that journey to improvement. And actually, do you know what? Do it before it's too late. It's okay to reach out for help. Don't wait till it becomes something that's out of control. But look, Erik, thanks very much for being here today. Thanks very much, Retail Trust. And I wish everyone the best of luck as we face this challenging time into 2020 and 2021.
Yeah, thanks, Alex.